HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
This program is brought to you by Chefs Collaborative, a nonprofit with a mission to inspire, educate, and celebrate chefs and food professionals building a better food system. Change menus, change lives. Learn more at chefscollaborative.org.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. We're a member-supported food radio network broadcasting over 35 weekly shows live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. Join our hosts as they lead you through the world of craft brewing, behind the scenes of the restaurant industry, inside the battle over school food, and beyond. Find us at heritageradionetwork.org.
Welcome to the Grape Nation, your weekly wine journey. Our guest is Severine Perru, wine director at the 10 Bells in New York City. We'll give you the whole lowdown on natural, organic, and biodynamic wines. Or as Sev told me earlier and in her Instagram, you want to hear a thick French accent talking about natural wines? That's what you're getting today. Plus, we'll taste a white wine from Italy for our weekly wine sip, which Seb told me she's never tasted. I'm your host, Sam Ben-Ruby. Stay with us for the Grape Nation on the Heritage Radio Network. We bring wine to the people. All right, Severine Perru is wine director at the 10 Bells, a natural wine bar in New York City, with a wine list offering a curated selection from small producers. She's one of the true forces behind the natural wine movement in New York City and beyond. She also acted as the head sommelier at the Raw Wine Festival in London and was involved in the Raw Wine Fair that was here last fall. Sev, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
It's very good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. So I want you to frame who you are with our listeners. So you have a pretty interesting background in agriculture and wine, and it all ties together. So I want you to tell us about your journey in life and in wine that brought you to where you are now, which is the wine director at 10 Bells in New York and a loud natural wine advocate.
Yep. Well, I'm French, first of all, obviously.
Really?
Yeah. So I guess my journey with wine started very soon, way before I was allowed to drink alcohol, actually, obviously.
So where in France?
I grew up in French Moselle with my parents, and then I moved on my own, but I will talk about it later, in the Jura, which is my heart region.
Great wine region.
Yeah. So, I started to taste wine and just like to smell and have a little sip with my parents, obviously.
How young were you?
I don't have any memory of that.
Really? Okay. Keep going.
That's the French way,
Right. culturally.
Yeah, and so I've always had those memories with my parents, having wine on the table and tasting everything and like talking about them, like old vintages and how the wine age, what's fun, like to carafe wine and everything. So I learned that with my parents, and then I started to drink on my own because it's obviously good, and that's it. And then I was always involved in my life, passionate about food and drinks and environment. And I started to study environment, and I specialized myself in entomology, which is studying insects.
Bugs? Okay.
Butterflies, grasshoppers. Dragonflies, yeah. It's very bucolic and
it's not
and
a very
pretty fun.
girly thing to do.
It is not.
Bugs.
It is a very masculine world.
Right, that's okay. Screw that.
Is. But it forged the character as well. You know, you have to fight for what you like,
right?
Which helps me for now also. So it's a good thing. So yeah, I specialize myself in butterflies, dragonflies, grasshoppers, crickets. A little bit of birds and frogs and everything, but very specialized into entomology. I had an office study of like to study all those bugs on my own with my companion at this time, and we were going basically everywhere in the world, mostly Europe, but we went in Africa as well to study some species, biology, ecology. Most of our work was to like make sure for highways or other projects of like human constructions that no endangered species were on the project and everything. So basically that was more about
protecting the environment.
Well, protecting the environment, but on the way then like we will be sure that the places we are studying will be actually destroyed because of that human project. Right. So that was after a few years, that was very frustrating because I was just seeing all the damages we can do to environment, and also like that was like, you know, insects have like a very small short life, so it's very easy 1 year after another to see the climate changes and all those problems that we have right now that are true. And I was sick of just being a witness of those destructions, and I wanted to act to preserve environment more on that way. So I switched from like studying insects to organic agriculture because for me it's like one of the best way to preserve the environment is sustainability, to like produce our food in a different way and in a respectful way. So I opened an organic shop because I wanted to be more in front of people and explain the customers why and how they could change things, why it was interesting for them, and the act of consumption can change things actually. So I did this in French Moselle and in Lorraine, and then I had the chance to move to Franche-Comté. So is like the region where the Jura is.
But you got a degree. A master's?
I got a master in environment.
In environment.
Yeah, but I was studying insect at the same time. That was like before.
Right.
And then a few years of my studies, office study, and then I switched to this shop, and then I switched to the region.
Right.
Yep. And I had the chance to work with all the organic farmers there because I was. My main job was to promote the whole organic production of the region. So to work with all the farmers, all the transformers for all the products. So cheese, wine,
right.
Cereals.
How much of the farming, the people you were dealing with, were wine growers? Was it a high majority or just part of it?
It was part of it because in Franche-Comté you have a lot of cheese productions as well, and cereal
dairy,
on the north.
Cows.
So yeah, that was part of it.
Lands.
Yeah, but you know, like when you have the passion of wine and you drink wine and you're very close to all those awesome winemakers, obviously even if you don't have to work directly with them all the time, you spend your time off with them and you taste a lot of wine. And I was lucky for that I went to that region. I chose to go to that region because I was in love with the region, and I had I was surrounded by all those amazing people. And
you befriend a lot of these people. You literally get close to the land.
Definitely.
And you decide the next steps would be what?
Well, they helped me for that. I had the chance also to be taken under the wings of very nice people, winemakers, but also people that were like advocating natural wines already in the region. Stéphane Planche, Olivier Grosjean, all those amazing people that were like really close to me and taught me a lot of things. And I'm like really grateful to them. See, like even now, I would not be here if that wasn't for them.
Right.
So definitely.
So you studied bugs.
Yep.
You went on to study the environment and agriculture. You really got out in the field. You were spending time in the Jura. You befriended all kinds of farmers, dairy, wine, I'm sure other guys. But and you just talked about specific winemakers, that was the point where you decided the wine aspect of it interested you the most?
Well, I had a last step in between. I mean, I was already convinced that that was really important to me, and I wanted to go like further on that. But I was still like very interesting about all the aspects of my job, because I was also trying to work on the logistic and sourcing local organic products to bring into schools and like to help the kids in the region to eat the local organic food. So that was really important to me as well, and other aspects. So I really loved my job at this time. But and also the winemakers contacted me, specifically Bruno Cioffi from Le Domaine de la Pinte. They contacted me within my job to ask me to help them to build a wine fair called Le Nez dans le Verre. So
spell that for me.
L-I, le nez, the nose, N-E-Z, dans le verre. But with a pun, because French people like pun. So instead of being verre, the glass, V-E-R-R-E, that is verre, green, V-E-R-T.
Like green.
Yeah, le nez dans le verre, so the nose in the green. So specifically advocating like organic, biodynamic, and natural wines from the Jura.
Now, were there other fairs all over the country, and these winemakers wanted to do something locally in the area?
Yeah, the idea was to build a group of all those winemakers and to do a specific natural wine fair about Jura wine in the Jura, and bring the professional and the customers from the region, but also from France and from abroad.
What year are we talking about?
We are talking about 2011, if my memory is good.
Okay. So only 5, 6, 7 years ago?
10.
We're talking?
Yeah,
10?
Yeah.
Okay.
10 or 11.
Okay.
I should have checked on that. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
They contacted me because I was working for this association for the whole region, and they just wanted me to help about logistic and trying to find some funds and like help them on like all those aspects. I obviously said yes right away because I was very interested, and that was the beginning of a very nice adventure with them.
How many winemakers were you able to get involved?
Well, at this time they were very proactive on this. I was here to help them, but this is definitely their baby. That was like almost about like 30 winemakers.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were seeing each other every month, and trying to build that project, trying to also fight the people that were like against the project, people that were like not into organic and biodynamic farming in the region, because that is also an aspect of.
Yeah, I can never understand. It's like, okay, if you don't agree with it, leave it alone.
Yeah.
You don't have to fight it. And that goes on all the time.
Yeah.
All right, so you do that, and what does that lead to?
Well, that brought me an extraordinary human lesson of like being together, trying to build something together, even if we don't agree, if we disagree on things, even within the group. Like really, like a really good human experience, and beyond just the fair, because that group had such an extraordinary dynamic that they were seeing each other outside of those meetings, like to exchange about pruning, for example, to exchange about biodynamic farmings, to exchange about all their aspects, they were like sometimes feeling alone with their vineyard and not knowing to who ask for like some examples. So they created
their own community.
They created the community, and that was like the most like interesting aspect of it. The wine fair still exists, and it's like getting bigger and bigger every year. They have.
Have you gone back in past years?
I've been the 3 first years, and I didn't the last years, and I'm very sad about it. But that's going to change next year. I'm definitely going to go there.
So you said there were about 30 winemakers in the past few years. Has that grown?
Yeah, it's growing.
Great.
Yeah, it's growing up. Because also they are like welcoming the new ones,
right?
And this is also that human aspect that I think is very important in the natural wine world,
right?
As like bringing all the friendship relationship together and helping each other.
So when do you come to the U.S. and why?
So after that, I definitely decided to focus myself completely into wine.
Natural wines, or
I was already completely.
Got it.
As I was saying, I had the chance to be taken under the wings of very specific people.
You were committed.
Yeah.
They captivated you.
I mean, that's easy, you know. You have very good products and like products with soul and like very good wines.
All the right stuff.
Know? Yeah, exactly. We call we have that thing with Stéphane Planche and other people. We were trying one night after like few bottles. Obviously, we were trying to define those wines with low alcohol and like no sulfites added, nothing added, just pure juice. And we were trying to define that, to find like that term. And we ended up saying that, like the pulsar, like those pulsar and things, that definitely sex water. And we're like, it quenches your thirst like water. You don't feel bad. You don't feel anything about the alcohol effect or anything. And it's just like, go
natural.
Into your body.
It's natural and healthy.
And then it makes you happy like sex. So it's sex water.
There you go. That's a good way to describe it.
Exactly.
All right, so
yeah, I went back to school for 1 year in Beaune and Dijon, the wine school. Because I also wanted to go abroad and like experience a little bit more and improve my English, not to lose my accent, but just improve a little bit my English. And that's what I did, and that's what brought me after that here.
What year was that?
That was 2013.
And you land here, and what do you do when you get here?
So I had a chance to land in New York to do my last internship for my studies. So my last memoir. And I have to say that François Ecot and Jenny Lefcourt helped me to do that. So I started to do an internship at Jenny and François.
So Jenny and François are a natural wine importer
in New York.
They've been doing it for years, and they curate a lot of great winemakers from different countries.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was the perfect...
That was a perfect choice. That was really good. I met François years ago in France. I love his wines so much, and we just clicked together. And so he offered me this opportunity, and Jenny followed on that. So I did my last internship there, studying the natural wine market in New York. For 6 months or something, and
so that was a formal internship for your studies.
That was a formal internship, and then I had to like present my paperwork, memoir, PhD, like thesis, something like
your
that.
Your thesis.
Yeah.
So you did that.
I did that. At the same time,
you had to go back to France?
No, I negotiated to to just. Had my last exam on Skype, so I just presented everything on Skype. So that was
so once you're done with that, you have your degree, you're free and clear. It's sort of like, now what do I do?
Well, that was pretty clear for me. The first week I arrived in New York, starting my internship, I actually started to work at the 10 Bells on the same time, bartending there. That was making sense because I needed to learn the natural wine market in New York. So I needed to know every aspect of it. So the import of wine was one. Being in front of customers and selling natural wines and talking about it was another one. And like going out and going to other places and meet all those people was also another one. So I needed to bring all those things together.
So what year was that?
2013.
2013. So you sought out the 10 Bells because you knew it was one of New York's great natural. Yeah,
I knew Fifi already.
Okay.
So yeah, it's that's the aspect I was saying that I really love in natural wine. It's a small family, and we help each other.
So
that's what I.
Were you literally the bartender mixing drinks? You weren't on the floor concentrating on wine the whole time. I mean, you were serving wine and selling it, but
yeah, that's what I started to do.
And then you moved
a lot of nights.
Right. You moved into wine service there.
I started actually just being a bartender. So it's the 10 Bells is a very specific place. We do everything. So we have 2 or 3 bartenders per night, and that's pretty much it. So we do everything.
Okay.
We serve wine. We talk with people.
We'll get to 10 Bells in a little
later.
bit, but before we get to that, because there's a lot going on there, let's talk about natural wines. And it's a pretty vast subject, and I need you to help me kind of navigate it. Your friend Isabelle Legeron from Raw Wine said she sort of defined natural wine as wine where nothing has been added and nothing has been subtracted.
Yep.
Now, no doubt that's true. It's a little simplistic. So you are the perfect person to help us understand natural wines. So I want you to give us a little insight, a little primer, into really what natural wines are. It's been a very popular subject on this show. We've had a lot of people come in and out, talk about it, advocates. Some people love it. Some people don't care as much. But I think one of the things our listeners grapple with is sort of defining what it is. So start anywhere, but what are natural wines? How do you define them without getting too crazy?
No, it's actually very simple. We don't have to be crazy on anything.
Okay.
Isabel has a very good definition. It's simple and it's very straightforward, which I like. It's just if we have to explain a little bit more, it's just you have 2 different steps that are very important into the natural wine making process. First of all, it's in the vineyard. Obviously, the grapes have to be grown in an organic or biodynamic way, certified or no. But like the organic, like the farming practices have to be here. And
some people practice organic, but don't necessarily get certified. Yeah. But they're practicing organic.
Yeah.
So it starts in the field.
Biodynamic as well. So it starts in the field, and it's the very important step, actually, because you need the healthiest grapes ever to make natural wine, because, as Isabelle says, you don't remove anything and you don't add anything. So if your grapes are sick, well, you're going to add some disease or anything, that's not going to happen. That's not going to work out. If they're not healthy enough, they will not have the ingenious yeast to start the fermentation or to finish the fermentation if they are not strong enough. So you need the best quality ever for the grapes, for the vines, the healthiest vines ever.
So there's all techniques for replenishing the soil. If there's pests and bugs, they treat it in an organic, biodynamic way, depending on what, without adding anything, which would be pesticides or...
Yeah, it's the same then for us. We prefer, obviously, to be healthy and to prevent diseases than to be sick and to have to take medication, right? So it's a day-to-day work. You take vitamins, you take some plants, or you take some
and you do that in the farming
So
process.
this is the
You're
thing.
You're always taking care and feeding.
Yeah, the 10. You just try to get the healthiest grapes, vines as possible, the healthiest soils as possible.
So
and then.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean
to. Go ahead.
On the farming practice, you need to be organic or biodynamic. You need to practice, natural farming techniques where you're not, adding anything unnatural. So that's in the field. So you said to grow healthy grapes.
Yeah, that's the main part, the basic part, the main part. And then after that, the harvests have to be made by hand because you want to be gentle with the grapes. Also, and then
so no machines.
Everything's
hand-picked.
Yeah, because you're sorting your grapes,
right?
And then obviously you want to be as gentle as you can with them, because the same thing. If you are not gentle with them, then you're gonna break the skin. You're gonna bring disease on it. So just be gentle with them, and then they're gonna.
So, silly, obvious question. A lot of the natural winemakers and wine growers are not necessarily these huge, massive mega farms, right?
No, that's the opposite. That's the
they're
human
generally owned, operated farmer owner.
Yeah, this is mostly
more of
like
a
family
grower.
estates.
Right.
And
The movement is comprised mostly of winemakers like that because they can control the field.
I mean that's one of that's part of the definition as well. It's like it's family estate, like human size
Right.
estates, because most of the work is made by humans and by hand and
All right,
or
so
tractors like in the vineyard sometimes, or by horse. You know, it's
right.
just like
you see pictures of
Yep.
sowing the land with a mule or All right, so now the grapes are brought in. They're brought in by hand. So continuing the natural wine process. Now what happens? Now you got to get in the cellar. What keeps and makes a wine natural at that point?
Well, after that, it's pretty simple. Like Isabel said, nothing added, nothing removed. So the fermentation happens with indigenous yeast. So the yeasts that are naturally present on the skin of the grapes.
No adding yeast.
No adding yeast, even if they're organic,
Right.
artificial yeast or anything. No added yeast, no added enzymes, no temperature control most of the time. And
So natural temperature.
usually
You're
or
not
like-
using cold tanks or what?
No.
You're
and then that's it. No additives, and
So are there-
no hard process.
are there? You're not adding anything, but are there different techniques? Like some people do whole cluster, some don't.
Yeah.
Or it's not all whole cluster. Or,
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
That's just the
Some people
That's
use
different.
concrete tanks, wood tanks. I
Definitely.
mean, all of
Yeah.
that is the
it's
winemaker's
concrete.
choice.
Yeah, this is just a winemaking
That's
choice.
okay.
That's definitely okay.
Right. The style is dictated by what type
Yeah.
of tank or, how they ferment.
Yeah,
and
we
all
are
of
talking
that.
about artificial additives or anything. It's just none of those things are allowed, obviously, because we just want pure juice. And then at the end, the only additive that is authorized as very low levels or none, if the winemaker doesn't want to add any, is the sulfur, SO2. And that's it.
So they make, I wouldn't say exception, but the usage of small amounts of sulfur
Yeah.
is used in even natural wines.
In some of them.
Some people choose not to.
Some people choose not to use it. Some people choose to use it at very low level. Definitely, there is like it's always very very low level of sulfur.
Right.
And past beyond a certain level, it's not a natural wine anymore, and it's not gonna happen. Also, nothing removed is most of the time no filtration or very very light filtration on cellulose or something like this. But that's it.
Right. No fining.
No.
All right, so let me ask you the obvious questions. So, does the consistency of the wine vary year to year? Not because of the quality of the vintage, because one year could be rainy, it could be hot. That will always... But does the consistency change because you're going natural, or the winemaker can sort of create his style naturally?
Well, it's like in between. I mean, it's both.
It is.
But that's the magical part of it. If you drink always the same thing, it's fucking boring, right?
Right.
So that's
the
magical
beautiful thing
part
about
of it.
wine. It's
Yeah.
an agricultural product.
Exactly. That's the beautiful. That's the magical part for me. It's like always having differences, always tasting something
More with
new.
natural than regular wines, right?
Yeah, because those wines have soul.
Right.
They're alive, and they evolve. And
See,
you
now
open a
you're
bottle.
hitting what the wines do. They're more
Yeah.
soulful. There's more of a connection to the winemaker. So, in your opinion, because you've been around this as long as anyone, and I'm not even sure this is the right question, but has the quality of natural wine changed? Has it gotten better, say in the past 3, 5, 10 years, or it's the same? Like, have they gotten better at making natural wines, or it's the same 50 years ago as now?
That's like...
Is that a silly question?
It's not a silly question. It's just like people that don't necessarily embrace natural wines, you usually use that argument to say like natural wine is bad or
It's not
tastes bad
consistent.
or not consistent or anything. I would say like 99.9% of the industrial wines are not interesting to me and don't taste necessarily interesting or don't have soul or anything. So that's the same thing. And also, it depends on each person, each winemaker. If the cellar is clean, if the practices, the winemaking practices are like well done or no, and I guess it's like it's just a matter of like the natural, the wine world, not natural, the wine world in general. It's just that's the same thing that we can say. It depends on each person.
I think you answered the question.
Yeah.
I think there is no inconsistency. It is what it is.
It is what it is, and it depends on each winemaker.
Farmer winemaker who's very diligent in the field and in the cellar. You know, he's going to make his terrific soulful product and all of that. Mm-hmm. Do you? Now, I'm asking you this stuff because I'm just not as experienced at this stuff as you. Is it obvious? Can you differentiate the physical appearance and taste of natural wines versus other ones? Like in a blind... I mean, are there characteristics that are, you know, so obvious with natural wines? I mean, obviously not the filtering. And is that part of the characteristic of natural wine?
I would say... some really nice cloudy wines will be definitely like easier to recognize if just like
so that's an obvious visual.
But yeah, like that's a visual. But the most interesting blind taste for me would be in a black glass, so you cannot see anything.
Right.
So like with this, for me.
So then that's the question: if you're blind with natural and other wines,
yeah, for me definitely the first thing will be the first nose. Like if it burns my nose or no.
Would be...
Burning nose would be the sulfur, like the huge amount of sulfur.
All the crappy industrial wine.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't pick up any of that stuff.
No.
So the good reasons why natural wines are so good, you can differ. You won't pick up the other stuff.
Well, I guess it's the same thing than for food or like everything. When you start like, you know, by eating processed food and everything, your taste buds are not necessarily very accurate or because you're like... blurred by the sugar, by the salt,
feel
by
like crap after
MSG and everything and the additives. But when you start to go on like eating organic and everything, you're gonna like learn different things. Your palate will change, and you will never go back on like industrial food because it's way better to eat those things. And that's the same thing with wine. So when you start to drink and enjoy natural wines, and you keep going and going and going, and then one day you're like in front of like an industrial wine, you're not gonna drink it.
No.
You're not gonna put your nose on it either.
No. You're right about that.
Yeah,
because
there's
of
no going back.
all the proper practices that go into making the wine, reflecting, you know, how
you're not gonna enjoy it anymore. I mean,
all right. So I want to ask you two more questions, and I want to talk a little about 10 Bells because 10 Bells is a place that executes, you know, the vision of natural wines and all of that. Is natural wine, is it a trend? Is it still a trend? Is it here? I mean, I know you're so deep into it, you don't see it, but when you look outside, is there anything to that?
I mean, for me, it's not a trend, as we said, but
it's
for
big in
regular
New York,
customers,
San Francisco, Paris, even Tokyo. When you get out of that, you know, it's not, you know, so it's trendy in those areas.
It's trendy, and it's trendy for customers that never heard about it before, and thanks to social medias, thanks to all the wine bars, the fairs, or the restaurants that are doing an awesome job.
People like you who cheerlead for
and importers as well. They're like, you know,
like Jenny, friend.
Jenny and Francois and other ones, like so many good importers, natural wine importers in New York and in other places, and they're doing like such a good job, and it's hard. It's a really hard job. That helps to like advocate those wines to customers that never heard about them before, and they're gonna go to places and taste. Like the best example for me is like when I started to bartend at 10 Bells 4 years ago, and now I can see the change with the customers, definitely. Like 4 years ago, I was like trying. Maybe also I changed a little because I was like fighting so much to explain and like to, you know, not impose a wine, but like
that's
really...
the process.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, it took work at the beginning. It gets a little easier as time goes by.
Yeah, but now like like even like very cloudy wines or anything, or like challenging wines for beginners that never heard about it before. They're happy to be challenged. They want that. They come and they ask specifically for like unfiltered wine or like weird wine or anything, and they taste. And sometimes they're like, "Oh, maybe that's too extreme for me right now. Do you have something easier?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Let's start with something."
And you make sure people know what they're getting. If they're asking for it, but you're not sure they know about it, you'll make sure, because you want them to enjoy it and expect what.
This is an experience you're getting. So yeah, definitely.
All right. So I guess it's fair to say the T word trend is starting to die down. It's becoming more culture. All right. So if that's the case, why is it that most restaurants just don't carry natural wines or enough? What's your opinion of that?
That's a very good question. I am very sad about it, and I have to pick very carefully the places I go. And
it hasn't hit the mainstream.
Yeah,
yet.
it's really. I don't understand it actually, because some chefs and some restaurants, like staff, are taking so much pride and taking so much time to source all their products, and they do an awesome job in the kitchen, and they cook so well
with the ingredients and matching it to everything. The wine.
They spend so much time to source organic products for food, and then they have a list that is not matching at all, which is sad. And I don't understand it.
But more places are doing that. More people are experiencing it. So more people are going to walk into the restaurants that don't serve it and say, why don't you have this? Or they're going to ask for it.
It's changing a lot, yeah.
So that's a good thing. All right, so a couple things. We're going to take a quick break, and then I want to come back and talk about the 10 Bells, because it's a very interesting bar. And then I want to subject you to our wine list. I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and then we're going to take a quick sip of some wines, and I want to ask you about that. So we're talking to Severine Perru. Sev is the wine director at the 10 Bells in New York City. We'll be right back after this break.
This program is brought to you by Chefs Collaborative, a national nonprofit network with a mission to inspire, educate, and celebrate chefs and food professionals building a better food system. Chefs Collaborative members work to make sustainable practices second nature for every chef in the United States. Chefs Collaborative was founded in 1993 by visionary chefs including Rick Bayless and Alice Waters, who acknowledge the influential role of food professionals on our food choices, our collective personal health, the vitality of cultures, and the integrity of the global environment. Chefs Collaborative believes that the greater culinary community can be a catalyst for positive change by expanding the market for good food and helping to preserve local farming and fishing communities. Change menus, change lives. Learn more about Chefs Collaborative at chefscollaborative.org.
Hi, I'm Carrie Diamond, host of Radio Cherry Bomb, the show about women and food on Heritage Radio Network. Tune in on Thursdays at 1 p.m. to hear interviews with the most interesting women in the world of food. Support our show and all of Heritage Radio Network's programming. Go to heritageradionetwork.org and click on the beating heart to donate.
All right, we're back. We're back with my guest, Severine Perru from the 10 Bells, and I want to talk to Sev a little about the 10 Bells. The 10 Bells opened in 2008. It's at 247 Broome Street on the Lower East Side. Sev, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it is considered, and it is one of the first natural wine bars in the country, right?
Exactly. So the 10 Bells opened only like a month or something after Terroir in San Francisco. So basically, we are the first one on the East Coast, and Terroir is the first one on the West Coast.
Top two is pretty impressive. So, and there wasn't much of this going on.
No,
so it was an experiment in the making. All right. So tell us a little about the 10 Bells. Tell me about the vibe and what you're doing there.
Yep. So 10 Bells was opened by mainly French people that wanted to like promote natural wines. So that was 100% natural wine list at
they
the
were
beginning.
living here and wanted to do it, or they came over
No,
from
they were
France?
living here.
Okay.
They were living here. They were involved with other projects before, and that was like a project that they had on their own after that. No, they were all living here. And so, yeah, opened in 2008. The idea was to have a wine bar, not a restaurant or anything. So something very simple and bon vivant. And so the idea was just to come here, order wines by the glass or the bottle, just put the bottle on the bar, and people just help themselves with the bottle. It's not like a service at the table. I mean, it is a service at the table, but we are not pouring the glasses of everybody all the time or anything. Like it's a French bistro attitude. And yep, just
so talk to me about the wine list. The wine list has approximately 300-400 selections.
So right now, the wine list as it is now.
Right, and I know it changes.
Yeah, it's around 400 different references by the bottle.
Okay.
We do have Magnums, Jeroboams. We have a Mathusalem for fun as well, if someone wanted.
I saw there
a lot of bubbles.
At the end of the wine list,
we have the big
bottle,
yeah,
not just Magnums, but beyond and all of that.
So we have this, and like maybe 20, 25 wines by the glass. The wine list, I update the wine list almost every day. It changes a lot, so... Yeah.
So within the 400 plus selections, the strength of the wines, the regions, the types are what? I'm going to guess French.
Maybe for the most part it's French, but it's evolving a lot as well because...
What's the evolution? Where is it going?
It's going everywhere. It's going everywhere. The wines are amazing, which is like...
So name some areas specifically.
Well,
obviously, you're doing Italy, a good natural wine country.
Yeah, a tiny bit of Italy, Spain. My goal was also to promote all the American natural wines because we are in New York and we are in America, so it's obviously also very important to promote and to help the natural winemakers in the same country.
So stay on that.
A lot.
Stay on that for a second. So let's talk about California. Give me 2 or 3 natural winemakers from California that are doing it and doing it well. By specific names.
Specific names?
Yeah. Tell me some winemakers.
Sure. Well, the Living Wines Collective are really interesting right now.
That's the brand name it goes under, Living Wine Collective?
It's Living Wine Collectives, Populis, Les Lunes.
Okay.
At the beginning, there was 4 people. They went to study wine all around the world, and they came back to California and decided to have that collective project, and under different brands, so Populis and Les Lunes and things.
Give me 1 or 2 more.
Steve Edmonds that we just welcomed last night.
Edmonds?
Yeah, that we just welcomed last night for Meet the Winemaker series.
He's making natural wines.
Yep. And like so many more. I mean, Marta Stumen now, that was part of the project, the Living Wines Collective project. She has her thing on her own now.
What's her name?
Marta Stumen.
Okay.
That is like really interesting. La Clarine Farm. I mean, I could
La Clarine.
La Clarine, Hardy Wallace.
New York State, Long Island. Anybody doing that?
Bloomer Creek.
Bloomer Creek
Estate.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those are some names to look at. Now tell me some other countries that are represented on the list that people, if they know natural wine, would expect to see, but not necessarily our listeners. What other countries, besides what we mentioned, are making natural wines?
Well, I can mention all of them because they're all interesting. But we have Austria, Germany, Slovenia, Slovakia, Hungary. We have Australia, South Africa. We have France, Italy, Portugal. So many of them.
Now, have most of them been making natural wines for many years, or some countries have shifted?
Some countries have shifted, I would say. It's like a pretty new group.
Like in
people.
South Africa, there's a natural growing region. I forgot the name of it.
In Swartland.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a whole movement there.
Yeah, there are 2 movements, Zoo Biscuits and Swartland Independent Wine Growers. Both of them are like part of the same dynamic of young winemakers that are like meeting each other. Same thing than like this group in the Jura. Same thing in so many regions. In Austria is the same thing. In Australia is the same thing. this is the human part. All the people are like grouping their knowledge and helping each other.
Right.
And yeah, it happens there too. And it's really interesting right now.
So how do you select what goes on the list? I mean, you said you look at it every day.
I taste
You're
everything.
obviously tasting. Some of it's seasonal. Some of it you get tired of. I mean, is that the process?
Yeah, the process is having fun and
That's
enjoying the things.
It's a fun wine that's going on the
Yeah.
list. You're not trying to make the list smaller. If anything, it's going to be
No.
bigger, right? Yeah, okay.
That's my main problem is to stop sometimes.
Right, but addition is good generally.
Yeah, it's just a problem of storing the wine sometimes.
Is it easy to say like what the next hot natural wine region is? I mean, is there something in the sites or everybody's sort of doing it now?
I don't know. I'm not really like a trendy person. I'm not following the trends or anything. I'm just doing it more with the guts.
But you mentioned Slovenia, Slovakia, Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, Greece is making some great wines.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some of the things you do at 10 Bells. You have this 400-plus wine list. You represent all these countries, small curated list of growers, natural wines. And some of the things you do there to get that out are you do a thing called a winemaker series.
Yeah, Meet the Winemaker.
Meet the
events.
Winemaker,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. Same thing.
Tell me what that is. And you just did one.
I just did two, actually. We had Mainklang. We had Niklas Pelzer on Monday night to represent Mainklang wines.
Meinklang?
Yeah,
Mainklang?
from Burgenland in Austria.
Okay.
Yeah. And we had Steve Edmonds from California. Basically, I tried
Does
to...
Steve grow the grapes or does he contract them?
He contracts most of them.
He does?
Yeah.
And where does he get them from? All over California or mostly...
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just Napa or Sonoma, but different regions, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the Sierra foothills, so it's
Right.
like also
Sierra
like more on the east side. Yeah.
So the winemaker
So those
series
events
is to highlight somebody committed.
Yeah, my goal was to bring the people together. Same thing, the human part. So I really wanted, because every night we talk with the customers and we explain the wines and we try to give them like good reasons and to enjoy it even more, to enjoy the wine even more. Like if I go with the Jura, because I'm representing them so much, every night, it's like when I serve a wine from the Jura or something, I'm like, hey, you want to see the picture of the winemaker? Like, here you are. Like, you're drinking the wine of this family.
Make a connection.
Yeah, and people love it, and it's really important to explain also why the family aspect and the human aspect is very important. And so I really wanted to go farther and to bring those people together. So every time a winemaker was in town, he was like, hey, can we meet? Can we have a drink or something? It's like, yeah, you're coming at 10 Bells, and we're not having a drink, you and me, but you're going to have a drink with everybody.
Right.
And I'm going to feature your wines, all your wines, like as much as of your wines by the glass, on like a low margin for the night, so people can enjoy everything and can taste everything. And you're not going to be behind the bar working with me. You're going to be on the other side with the customers, and they're going to come to talk to you. That was the point.
One thing I learned about wine from this show and even before is people in wine love to talk about wine. So when you get a winemaker and he puts his blood, sweat, and tears into making that wine, he loves to get in front of people and talk about it. And the idea that you bring them to the people is a great thing. You also do, similar vein, you'll do a book signing, right? You know, if a winemaker or somebody's doing a book.
Yeah, exactly. Like Isabelle did some book signing, Alice Fering, and we will have one on the 13th of June.
Which is?
For the new book from Alice Fering and Pascaline Lepelletier. So The Dirty
Book of Wine.
Dirty Book of Wine.
Yes. They're coming on the show next month, I think.
Perfect.
To talk about the book.
So we have the book release, and we're going to feature like some wines by the glass that they are talking about in the book. And it's going to be a huge party, like a fun night. So
nice.
Yep.
All right, so those are the main things that are going on. The wine list, the big bottle program, the winemaker series. You'll get a book signing there and meet the people that write it. And there's tapas-style foods to match the list.
French and Spanish nibbles, just to have fun.
Perfect. All right, so one last thing before I ask you some questions about our wine list. You are getting yourself into the wine import business?
A tiny bit, yeah. I
Now,
started.
why, how, and what?
Well, I was very surprised talking with some winemakers that to know that they weren't represented in the US already.
I go to fairs and still
yeah.
see that.
Yeah, it happens. And
But you have a palate to know this guy's making great wines, right?
well, everybody has a palate. It's just,
Yeah, you're a trained palate. So
yeah, I was just, and I was like, well, that's too bad. We should change that. And I had a few hours of sleep per night, and I was getting bored, so I just decided to start to import wine as well on my own. So I created Severine Selections.
Severine Selections.
Yeah.
And where are you at with that? I mean, do you have a handful of...
I have a handful of 3 winemakers right now.
Okay, you have one hand. Okay. But that's how you start, Seb.
Well, that's how you start, and also I really want to represent them as well as I can. So that was the point.
Are they 3 French winemakers?
No, they are not.
Can you say who they are?
Yeah, definitely.
Let me hear.
So it's Jean-Pierre Rich from Alsace, so
okay.
French one.
Spell his last name.
Rich, R-I, sorry,
okay.
E-T-S-C-H.
Okay.
Jean-Pierre Rich. He's in Mittelbergheim in Alsace. And then I have Tom Shawbrook from Australia in the Barossa Valley. And then I have Craig Hawkins from Testalonga in South Africa, in Swartland.
Okay. Are these wines in the U.S.?
Yeah, they're here. They're ready to be drunk.
In New York?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
So I'm going to post on our site those guys so that people could look for them. Because if they didn't hear or whatever, that's the beauty of a podcast. They could come back and listen, plus I'll post that.
And you know why I didn't really want to have, not necessarily just French wines? Because my idea was just to represent the interesting things and the same thing, like the dynamic group. And the new
I totally
people.
get that.
Exactly. So that's
nothing
why
to do
not necessarily
right.
French.
It's about wine and the best people making it.
Exactly.
All right. So I will post on our Facebook page and on the Grape Nation website Sevy's wines so that you can pick them up. All right, Sev, we subject everybody on our show to answer a quick list of questions called the wine list. So first question is, what are you drinking now? I know you haven't been drinking a lot, but what were the things that you've been trying, tasting a lot of?
Well, right now, new wines that are brand new in the market in New York and that I was drinking.
Any region or winemaker?
Yeah, definitely. Jason Ligas, the Domaine Ligas in Greece.
Spell it.
Ligas.
Ligas. White wine?
Amazing people, all of their wines, actually. So, amphora wines, orange wines, red wines, rosé. Brand new in the US, super interesting. I was drinking them. Actually, Isabelle Lejean introduced me to them when we did the pop-up 2 years ago for the RA Fair in London. Right. And I was featuring those wines, and I was blown away by them. So that's really, really interesting. But I always go back to the Jura as well.
So you're always trying new stuff, but you're going back to the Jura.
Yeah.
Good answer. What is Severine's favorite wine and food pairing? Do you find yourself?
Yeah, the best pairing for me is to drink wine with friends.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
No food involved, just friends. The food is secondary. It could be French fries or whatever.
You want to enjoy a real good bottle, like a simple bottle. The best way to enjoy it is to be in good company.
Answer.
Yep.
All right. Besides the 10 Bells, which we know is one of the oldest natural wine bars, tell me your favorite, or we can cut the word favorite out, but good wine restaurant and or bars. Let's stay with New York that do the wine right. The selection, the service, the complement of the food. Tell me what's good in New York in your mind.
Well, my headquarters for a long time was Pearl and Ash.
Pearl and Ash?
Sadly, that is...
Do you go to Rebelle now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. I've been a long time lover of Roberta's.
Okay.
All the time.
Roberta's we're at Roberta's. They have a great wine list and they have great food with it. Give me one more.
The Forestman in Williamsburg is really cool.
That's James Murphy and Justin's place.
Yeah, amazing.
They're doing
people.
A great selection.
Yeah. 108.
Where's that?
It's the Japanese restaurant in Williamsburg as well, which is really interesting for wine and sake. And the food is amazing. For me, it's one of the most
108
interesting.
in Williamsburg?
Yep.
Okay, good one. That's a new one on the
really
show.
Good.
Do you have... That's plenty. I know you
I have others.
I know, but those are good. I don't want to... You don't have to do too many. Do you have a favorite all-time wine? Is there a wine that moved you that you drank once and remember forever?
Yeah, I have a few of them.
All right, let me hear them.
Okay, with the whole story around, or
no, we don't have time for this story. Give me the wines.
Well, a tiny bit of the story because that's important.
Well, I don't
but
want to hear about
definitely
a wine that you drank and then you got laid. That's your business.
Oh, definitely not.
Okay.
No.
Give me your one or two favorite all-time wines.
Two that blown me away. Le Regard du Loir from Jean-Pierre Robineau.
So Jean-Pierre Robineau, R-O-B...
R-O-B-I-N-O-T.
And what kind of wine is it?
That's a Pinot Donis from the Loire Valley.
Okay.
No sulfur added. That was a long time ago, and that was with winemakers and with Stéphane Planche and all those people. And we were drinking so many natural wines. Like, all of them were so good. That was, like, hard, like, to make a difference because they were all, like, amazing. And then I had that taste of this one, and I was like, holy shit, I couldn't describe.
Give me one more.
Another one was l'Insolent a long time ago as well
the
in
champagne?
Paris. No, l'Insolent from François Eco.
Spell
which
it.
is l'Insolent L''INSOLENT. L'Insolent.
Okay.
From François Eco.
Spell Eco.
Eco, E-C-O-T.
Eco. François Eco. Okay.
Who is also the François from Jenny and François.
Oh, okay.
Same thing.
Great.
And it's a field blend of 5 grapes, Abouriou, César, Gamay, Pinot Noir, and Pinot Donis. And I was in Paris at the Coinceau Vino, and I was talking with the owner, Guillaume. I was just like, bring me a bottle that you really enjoy right now. And he brought me that, and I was like, oh, yeah.
So this is one. So those are two good ones.
Yeah, and that was before meeting François. Actually, that was my first taste of François and Jenny.
And those really stand out. Mm-hmm. All right, we have a few more minutes, and we got to wrap up. Tell me, I'm sending my kid out to a dinner party, or he's bringing a gift to other friends. Tell me the best wines to think about buying for around $15, 15 to 20.
15.
Give me a red and a white retail.
Yeah, of course.
Give me a white first.
A white?
A lot of people say Muscadet.
Well, yeah, you have Muscadet that is really nice and like super easy to start because it's super refreshing. So
give me another white.
Muscadet, but you can go with like so many options like Chenin or
you
even
can
in the
get Chenins for $15-20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so Chenin Blanc.
If you get with La Grange Tiphaine or definitely La Grange Tiphaine, Coralie Demeure.
Is that the winemaker?
Yeah, she is. And
say it again for me.
Oh, I mean, it's a couple, but it's like you can find it on La Grange Tiphaine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, give me a red.
A red. Well, you have the Beaujolais definitely with very good
Beaujolais,
options.
Right.
You can definitely get some Pulsar as well from Domaine de la Pinte around
Pulsard?
15-20.
P-O-U-S-S-A-R-D?
P-O-U-L-S-A-R-D, yeah.
Pulsar
from the Jura. So definitely you can find in between 15-20. Yeah.
Can you give me a good Pulsard winemaker?
Yeah, you can, like in that range of price range, you go to the entry level of Domaine de la Pinte.
Okay.
And it's
Spell
really amazing. Domaine de la Pinte, P-I-N-T-E.
Pinte.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing the Pulsar de l'Amical by the glass right now at the 10 Bells, and it's 15 by the glass, and it's like around that price.
Good value.
It's really interesting. Yep.
All right, those are all good choices. I'm going to post those on our social media sites. I may have to email you to double check some things. All right, Sev, we're going to wrap up the show. If you have a question, wine happening, or event, hit me up at sam@thegrapenation.com. That's sam@thegrapenation.com. Follow us on Facebook at The Grape Nation. We'll post the wine list answers for this week's Sev Picks. Follow us on Instagram at SBenRuby, Twitter at BenRuby. And for the most extensive information, our website is up and running. It's www.thegrapenation.com. Now, Sev, where can we find you and the 10 Bells on social media?
So on social media, you can find the 10 Bells on
Instagram, Twitter.
We have a website.
What
so
is
it's
it?
10bellsnyc.com.
Okay. The wine list is there, the menu, all that.
The wine list is not completely updated on that
But
one.
I mean, enough taste to know what's going on.
You have pictures, you can see, the place, and then come, and it's way more enjoyable to be with us and to have the real experience and the fun.
We could follow you.
You can follow the 10 Bells on Instagram at 10 Bells at 10 Bells NYC.
Okay.
And
we can follow you at SEVPERRU
Exactly.
at Sev Perru.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you want to track what Sev is doing, follow her on Instagram at Sev Perru. If you want to know more about the 10 Bells, it's www.the10bells
10bellsnyc.com.
NYC.com.
Yeah, and on Instagram we post everything about the events a few days in advance. So if you want to come to the Meet the Winemakers events
so
or anything.
One of the reasons to keep an eye on that is Sev is always bringing interesting people in. We're not going to taste the wine tonight, even though I have a bottle open. Sev has a little cold, so it's not a big deal. We're running out of time. I want to thank my guest, Severine Perru. Severine is the wine director at the 10 Bells in New York City. We gave you all the information. Thank you to our engineer, Vitor, and thank you to everyone at the Heritage Radio Network. I'm Sam Ben-Ruby, and you've been listening to The Grape Nation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.